who's got command and control authority on the ground here? There's got to be somebody in charge. You have to have unity of command. You cannot have competing commands, because then that means that no matter what happens on the ground, it's going to be uncoordinated. And when you have the officials themselves, and now all the way down to the tactical level at the ground, working in antagonism towards one another, then there's no cooperation. And so you're going to have even more of these issues come up, in addition to all of the violent offenders that are taking care of, that are doing these things, all of whom need to be arrested and put in jail, because no matter where you come down on this politics, you cannot violate the law in your pen. And you see a lot of that stuff that Gary was showing on there. That's just flat out wanton violence. And, you know, burning these self-driving taxis, throwing rocks at police cars that could literally kill somebody. I mean, it's as violent and uncoordinated as it can possibly be, and that needs to be quelled. We don't want to complicate the issue of trying to bring order by having competition between the various levels of government and law enforcement officials. That's the real thing that we need to walk here. Now, let me not just throw a bunch of rocks, verbal rocks, at the Trump administration, because you see the other side is just as antagonistic. Here is Mayor Bass also blaming the administration.
What we're seeing in LA is chaos caused by the administration. People should exercise their right to protest. That's their First Amendment right. But people should also exercise that right peacefully. We do not want to play into the administration's hands. We're working with officials, we're organizing resources, but what we're seeing in Los Angeles is chaos that is provoked by the administration. When you raid Home Depot and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, and when you run armored caravans through our streets, you cause fear and you cause panic. And deploying federalized troops is a dangerous escalation. But the most important thing right now is that our city be peaceful. And so protests and expressing your, fears, your beliefs is appropriate to do, but it is just not appropriate for there to be violence.
Okay, she's right. Categorically, we do have to protect. In addition to bringing order and law to the streets to keep people safe, we also have to defend their constitutional rights to protest, to give their voice to whatever position that they hold, whether we like it or whether we hate it. It doesn't make any difference as long as it's peaceful. So you can't go so far as to quell any dissidents or any people standing up against what you have to say in the interest of law and order. Order doesn't trump the Constitution. So you have to be able to have the peaceful protest, but it can never cross without action. And that's just the truth of it. So whether you agree with 100% what they're protesting, you also have to 100% disagree with the methods they're using. But then again, you see the mayor here is jumping and basically doing the same thing Holman's doing. He's blaming the Democrats for this. And now then you see them blaming the administration, i.e. the Republicans, on this. And they're now opposed as well. So you're seeing a tit for tat kind of situation even going on within the law enforcement agency. And that extends up to the governor. That was the mayor. You saw Tom Homan a minute ago. Well, apparently he has actually threatened to arrest both the mayor and the governor if they don't do what he says. Ergo, what I said a minute ago about some real problems with command and control. So you see, you can even have fights even among the people who are in charge of these different organizations. Here is Newsom's response to being threatened with arrest.
We are here to support local law enforcement, the sheriff's office, LAPD, but they didn't need that support. He made this up. This is a manufactured crisis.
Tom Homan, the border czar, said to me yesterday he did not rule out literally arresting you, nor Mayor Bass, if you interfere in his words. He said you hadn't yet.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy.
So that's not a good situation. When you have all that violence on the ground and the terrifying the population, making them, I mean, you can't even go to the grocery store in some of these areas because you're terrified of even getting on the road. That is something that needs to be fixed. The federal, local, and state authorities need to be working together to address the law and order issues, but also work in a cooperative manner. Right now, there are basically two Americas. You've heard me say this before. And we're seeing it on graphic display right now. You have the red America, you have the blue America, and they are antagonistic towards one another. You've read lots of stories about this for quite a long time, especially when it come around the 2024 election. It always comes up to the press where people talk about how the blue America and the red America view each other as antagonistic. They view them as hatred. They view them as a threat to the survival of the country. There have even been some reporting that certain percentages, and not small percentages, of each side say that in certain circumstances, the use of violence against that side is justified. We are seeing these fissures expand here. Now, on, I think it was January 28th, so 8 days after President Trump was inaugurated, I had on this show Stephen March, who's the author of the book, The Next Civil War. And I was concerned about that because his contention in the book is that the conditions for a civil war already exist in the United States. It's already there, but what we're waiting for is, or holding our breaths against, maybe a better way to put it, is the spark that could ignite the tinder. And in his book, he has several theoretical ways that something could happen, and he demonstrates how one of these seemingly small spark could ignite this tinder that's already there, and then you could have a civil war. Something that's by itself was an issue, but not a big one. But because of the existence of this fissures that already existed between the countries, you could have an explosion. Now, this is mere days into this, so hopefully this is not one of those cases, but it's important to watch. Here is a small portion of my interview with Stephen Marsh.
That was the point of the book, is that the dry tinder is there. How it's going to play out, no one knows. But if you read the data, you can tell.
As we kind of close out here, I wonder if you can kind of help people get a sense of it. So whether, because you said a minute ago, there could be any of a dozen, maybe even plural dozens of potential sparks that could cause something. But once something happens, what does it look like on the ground? What does it manifest in say, Lubbock, Texas, out in the middle of nowhere, or in somewhere in the middle of Alabama or so, for just regular people? How would this manifest on the ground if the spark catches on fire?
Well, I mean, when I was trying to establish that, I was talking to a lot of veterans. I was talking to a lot of soldiers who'd come from Civil War situations. I mean, essentially what it is terrible violence, like horrific levels of violence that are incredibly devastating to communities. And then the attempt to clamp down that violence to give a space.
Yeah, that right there, as you see, that's how he said just theoretically it could happen. Well, obviously, that's exactly what's happening so far here. It does remain to be seen whether this just turns into an ugly situation between the federal, state, and local government officials and then goes down, whether this gets tamped down, whether maybe it can still work on the ground. I certainly hope so. There's every possibility that it could, but this is concerning, and it should concern every American, because we have to see that there are consequences to hating the other side, to saying that under certain circumstances, violence could be appropriate for the other side if they don't do what I want. If you're really pro on the Trump side about immigration policies and getting rid of all the illegals, whatever, and you say, yes, those Democrats, those in Congress, or whether in LA, the left coast, all this, that they need to be put down in with violence if possible, or the converse of that. If you turn the federal people into your enemy and you use that kind of language, then you're going to maybe even to make the protesters turn against them as well, or others may join into that. You see, this could get out of hand really fast. The adults that are in charge of this at the LA level, at the California level, and at the federal government level need to cool the verbal jets here. And we need to start working together. You can hold your tongue, do whatever you need to do, hold your nose, whatever it takes, but you guys have to figure out how to work together, because those scenes of violence on the ground there are not fake and are not going away because you squabble with each other. But if you work together, if you cooperate with all of your resources and just get along as adults like you're expected to do, like what we hired you to do with our elections, we don't want you to fight each other. We want you to work cooperatively to bring peace and stability and safety for us on our own streets. That's what we demand, and that's what we expect. Let's hope that that's exactly where it ends up. But because this is an evolving situation right here on our own home, I thought it was important to bring it to you today. We appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for watching, and we will look forward to seeing you later this afternoon on the Daniel Davis Deep Dive.